Obejrzyjmy sobie najnowsze informacje o Starfieldzie.
And we are officially at 12 days to go until Starfield hits the
12 dni zanim Starfield się pojawi.
boosters
Zobaczmy.
into early access. And in the last
Do wczesnego dostępu. Pamiętajcie o tym
48
oczywiście.
hours since my last Starfield upload, we've seen a massive amount of details hitting from all angles. I wanted to try to touch on items like the review embargo, copies confirmed in the wild and being played, some data mining of the pre-download, and of course, some early leak action. I've also seen responses popping up in my comment sections comparing Starfield to previous Bethesda titles, a feature I am hopeful exists in the live game, plus some new information concerning the version of the game and review copy distribution dates. I mean, this one is going to be jam-packed. Thanks again for all the love you continue to show my Starfield uploads. Your responses have been overwhelming, and in case you haven't yet done so, please hit subscribe and ring the notifications bell to receive my latest upload alert.
Słuchajcie, polecam zasubskrybować tego pana. Ja już też zasubskrybuję. Buzz Liter. Link w opisie znajdziecie.
Likes, comments, shares are always greatly appreciated. I've included chapters for easy viewing, and let's get this one rolling. From Starfield news, with the first being the download size updates for the live game.
Rozmiar ponad 160 gigabajtów.
Which seem to have stayed somewhat close to its original file size on Xbox at 126.1 gigs. PC looks to be coming in just slightly higher than
za niedługo gry to będą ważyć 1 terabajt.
Originally expected at 139.84 gigs. And just to remind everyone out there, Xbox S, X, and Windows PC versions were available for pre-download starting back on August the 17th, with the Steam version being made available on August the 30th. Now, this second tweet is one that I found both interesting and encouraging, and it says that multiple versions have been pushed to Starfield's build to ensure it's polished ahead of launch. Starfield will launch as version 1.6.35.
Okej, 1.6, czyli zobaczcie ile poprawek było.
0. For comparison, Fallout 4 launched as version 1.1.0.0.
No to widzicie, czyli było już wcześniej, poprawiali coś, dodawali, nieźle.
They're definitely aiming for Starfield to be Bethesda's most polished launch title yet.
Aha, czyli zobaczymy, czy im to wyjdzie, bo wiecie, jak z tymi grami jest na początek. Zazwyczaj jest pełno błędów i tak dalej. Mam nadzieję, że i tutaj będzie wszystko dobrze i w tym wypadku się nie potwierdzi ta reguła.
To see that many iterations of Starfield is really encouraging. It means that the devs saw something, or maybe many things that needed to be adjusted and or fixed, and they made...
Ale to naprawdę bardzo dobrze świadczy o tym studio, że widzicie, stara się jak najszybciej poprawić te rzeczy, a nie wypuszczać produkt, który jest po prostu zepsuty, bo pierwsze wrażenie, nie ukrywajmy, zawsze jest ważne.
Those changes prior to releasing the game, and I've seen so many concerns over those.
Oczywiście, myślę, że ja sobie to troszkę przyspieszę.
Commonplace BGS release bugs, and you can even place me in that mindset as well. Seeing large levels of launch bugs and general jank is something we've become accustomed to with Bethesda launches. Will Starfield launch as the most polished Bethesda title yet? Sound off in the comment section and let me know where you stand, because we've got a little update on that front coming up next.
Dobra, co
now this next piece of news shows no
Sprawdźmy sobie. Okay,
artwork, no footage. There's some comments that don't venture into spoiler territory, and so I decided to include them in this upload. And this was previously posted to the Starfield Reddit and has since been mod deleted. And so I will also blur
czyli były usunięte te wpisy. Zobaczymy
over these conversation pics, and we'll instead just read them out to you. Now, apparently, this person is playing the game early. I honestly don't know if they have an early review copy, but this person's comments come into play when the "don't worry, it's a Bethesda game, so the bugs are going to be plentiful" conversation.
Nie martwcie się, to gra Bethesda i dlatego będzie dużo błędów. No, ciekawe.
Begins over on Discord, and I found their response refreshing. Here's what they said. I gotta say, it starts slow. It seems like it has so much to introduce to the player that it doesn't want to overwhelm. Unfortunately,
powolny początek.
It's still overwhelming because of just the vast number of systems and choices at the play.
O kurde, czyli ta gra naprawdę nam setki godzin da.
Player's disposal. It does its best, but the opening few hours are weird. However, once you get into the main story, it gets very good. It's mind-blowing how good the game looks for it being Creation Engine.
O kurde, ale grzeją atmosferę, podkręcają styki normalnie. Zobaczymy,
Also,
jak to wyjdzie.
15 hours in and not a single bug. To which some of
15 godzin nie ma błędu? Wow.
the people in chat started laughing and questioning that last statement. And so this person responds back with, I'm serious. I'll get into it in my review. The game is something, I'll tell you. I can't confirm if this person is actually speaking with first-hand or second-hand knowledge or if they're just completely making it all up, but
No, albo po prostu zmyśla, dokładnie.
it feels like some great links to go to defend the game, especially that no bugs at 15 hours bit.
Wow.
Moving on, and based on some of my
Sprawdźmy następne. AMD.
early Starfield
Data
reporting,
miners.
we already knew that AMD had obtained the exclusive rights to partner with Bethesda and Starfield and to provide the
Radeon.
game with its Fidelity FX super resolution upscaling tech. But now, according to this recent PC Games article, data miners have already dug into the preload files for Starfield
Już data minerzy dostali się?
and have not found any signs of NVIDIA DLSS or Intel
Czyli nie będzie DLSS-u od Nvidia, no bo współpracują z AMD pewnie, Bethesda.
XESS support. Now, neither Bethesda or AMD have confirmed that Starfield will only support FSR, but
No to Radeonowcy, gratulacje.
it wouldn't be surprising. As an owner of a non-AMD GPU, it hurts the potential of my hardware, and I am personally not a fan of these exclusive upscaling tech partnerships. More options equals better playthrough experiences for everyone, but
No
hey,
właśnie.
at least we can count on the robust
No ale jak mają jakąś kasę, dostali dodatkową za to, że tylko Radeony będą miały jakieś dodatkowe opcje, no to nie ma się co dziwić.
Bethesda modding community to come and get us mod access to features like DLSS
Bo jeszcze moderzy są, więc tyle
before the
dobrze.
end of early access. Now on to a feature
Sprawdźmy następne. I really want this.
that I truly hope is a part of the live game, and that is an FOV or field of view slider.
Ej, to będzie spoko, punkt
I
widzenia.
haven't seen this one confirmed or denied by any previous Bethesda interviews or statements. And I got to thinking on all of this as I was sifting through Starfield footage, as it's really going to come into play due to the nature of these close quarters battles you see so prominently displayed in the trailers. Now, we know from previous BGS titles that we always have that option to toggle between first and third person, but camera rotations, over-the-shoulder camera angles, and field of view, that becomes a dicey affair when you're crammed into, say, the interior of a spaceship or airlock-type chamber. There are collisions with various clutter strewn throughout the areas, and here's where giving players an FOV slider could pay huge dividends. I am exceedingly picky
Suwak, no zobaczymy, czy coś takiego dodadzą, byłoby fajnie.
about my FOV ratios, which probably comes from my previous days of being a competitive Battlefield player. Fingers crossed on this one, and if anyone from Bethesda sees this video and an FOV slider is not yet in the game, please make it happen. Next up, and I will not be showing this image, but there are now multiple instances of artwork and even live
Latest leaks,
footage of Starfield leaks hitting the internet. Starfield Reddit has a pic of the opening title screen for the game, and there was this tweet that someone DM'd me from this Twitter user, Dreamcast guy. WTF, well, the main story of Starfield has leaked. Legit.
O kurde, naprawdę już to wyciekło? Dobrze, że jeszcze nie wiem nic o tym.
Just saw the ending of the game on the timeline. If you care about spoilers and that kind of thing, you may want to mute some keywords. Now, again, I cannot confirm the validity of the images or this Twitter statement, but for anyone that did receive a review copy, this is not a right, it's a privilege, one that Bethesda has not actively participated in with
No to jest, słuchajcie, jeżeli rzeczywiście ktoś specjalnie zrobił te przecieki, żeby jeszcze bardziej kaski się nachapać w cudzysłowie, no to tak średnio. Dostajecie coś, a potem wiecie, dostajecie coś za darmo, macie przewagę w nagrywaniu, bo możecie od razu zaspamować tymi filmami i jeszcze potem, ale nie możecie jakby tego wypuścić przed czasem, a tu ktoś robi na złość
BGS releases.
żeby jeszcze
Now, I'm sure there
więcej.
is some sort of an NDA that must have been signed in order to get one of these review copies, and that has now clearly been violated. I also have so many more thoughts on this matter and what should be done to those that violate.
Przez to też szkodzą innym osobom, bo jakby twórcy gry nie będą chętni dawać, wiecie, tych kluczy czy wcześniejszych kopii ludziom potem.
But hopefully Bethesda will exercise the full force of their legal might. Shifting gears, and I've seen this comment pop up in many of my uploads. Starfield's just going to be
Czekajcie, co my tu mamy? Starfield Skyrim.
Skyrim in space. And my first thought is,
Tak, Skyrim w kosmosie. Taka jest myśl pierwsza, nie?
and what about that statement could actually be seen as a negative? I've spoken of Skyrim so many times in the past and how much I love the lore, the faction system, and that crazy Bethesda living world that actually adapted to your actions. Taking all of that and then expanding it into space on a scale not yet seen in a Bethesda title makes it that much better. Plus, now we have spaceships and what looks to be a much heavier emphasis on fast-paced, close-quarters combat. I mean, if you literally put all those descriptors on the back of a physical release copy box, you didn't show me the title, and you just showed this thing to me for the first time, I'd probably look at whoever handed it to me and just pull out my credit card. I mean, really, the only major knock I've seen on the game mechanics is that it is a space sim and not built to be an MMO. And I get it, having a multiplayer or co-op option would have been interesting for
No właśnie, to rzeczywiście prawdopodobnie ludzie będą szukać podobieństw. Zobaczymy, czy ktoś znajdzie więcej różnicy. Jak myślicie, czy to będzie rzeczywiście
some,
Skyrim
but
w
again,
kosmosie?
like that comment says, it's just going to be Skyrim in space, so single player action, or at least until the modding community can change all of that. Let's finish this one up with another look at those early review copies going out, and I want to focus in on the fact
No właśnie, chciałbym dostać też kiedyś takie, wiecie, kopie
that they have gone out 2
recenzenckie.
weeks prior to early access beginning.
2 tygodnie przed rozpoczęciem, czyli ci popularniejsi youtuberzy to już wszystko przeszli.
Now, I've seen some public statements questioning why they went out so soon, and again, like, is that a bad thing? At least to me, this is another positive sign that Bethesda and Xbox have a ton of confidence in the final results of their efforts, and they're ready for it to be judged. I've received pre-release copies in the past, like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and we only got access to that game a week before the release of the live game, and for anyone that has played through Valhalla,
Okej, czyli tutaj zazwyczaj dostają tydzień przed, a tu 2.
the campaign is nearly 100 hours to roll credits, so how are you supposed to give it a thorough review in just a week's time? Starfield sounds to be on the scale of Valhalla, if not bigger, and although its main storyline is rumored to be in the 30 to 40 hour range, Bethesda titles are always filled to the brim with side content. You got factions, outpost building, the ship creator, additional quest, that mission
No ja bym chciał, słuchajcie, przejść pierwsze fabułę, a potem
board
poboczne,
we
jak
heard about in the
najszybciej
Jamie Mallory
fabułkę.
Bethesda dev interview. And you're going to need several weeks to really dive into a lot of it and give it an accurate review once the embargo lifts. And speaking to that review embargo date ending on August the 31st at noon. Again, how can this be interpreted as a bad thing, as we can now drop it into the growing list of positives leading up to the eventual launch of the game? Now, if a publisher is not confident of their product, and if they grant review copies to select individuals, they will normally do so with a compressed time frame. So the reviewer can't get a chance to experience the entire product.
Okej, być może jest to jakieś tak, że dajecie kopię parę dni przed premierą, żeby, wiecie, nie było negatywnych recenzji.
And there will be an embargo procedure in place, only allowing those reviews to be posted after the game has released. In the case of Starfield, all signs lead to a positive release. Review copies are out 2 weeks early, embargo dates ending prior to early access go live. I mean, these are all consumer-friendly moves on the part of Bethesda and Xbox. Now, if this was 1 week to go before launch and no review copies had been distributed, and the embargo was only going to be lifted the minute a game went on sale, Exhibit A, Redfall, then this is an entirely different argument. But when it comes to the review news coming out of Starfield, I'm seeing nothing but positives here, and that's a good sight to see.
No, miejmy nadzieję, że tak będzie do końca. Na razie wszyscy się jakby oczekują, są podjarani tym, że wychodzi ta gra. No zobaczymy. Hype
And
for
here's some quick
Starfield.
bonus Starfield action for you, posted by Twitter user Kaylin Pones, who apparently stood in the 105-degree heat for 7 hours to ask Post Malone if he would be playing Starfield.
Austin, are you gonna play? Are you gonna play Starfield?
Fuck yeah, I'm
Are
gonna
you
play the shit out of Starfield.
Okej. Post Malone będzie grał z Starfielda. No nieźle. Powiem wam, że naprawdę mega fajnie. Zapraszam do sprawdzenia moich innych tytułów. Do zobaczenia.